Hi everyone. Today my topic is the Louisiana Purchase, and I start out with the views of Louisiana by Henry Marie Brackenridge. He provided one of the most important accounts of the Louisiana Territory in early America and expressed great appreciation for the French and French Creole cultures in the area, which was unique because compared to others at the time, he didn't express the same level of cultural superiority. Instead, what he did was vividly describe the landscape and the climate and scenery of the area, and also gave advice on managing floodwaters and things like that that led to basically laid the ground for the levee system that we know of now today in New Orleans and other places. And he also believed that the Louisiana Purchase was a God-given opportunity for America to expand westwards and become a major power. Economically, Breckenridge also said that the fertile soil and climate of the region could both support a large population of people moving in and also allow for the growth of sugarcane with the warm climate of the area, which, of course, we know resulted in a big sugar industry in Louisiana, Texas, and elsewhere in the South. Beyond Brackenridge, I also looked at the letter from the Secretary of the Treasury transmitting copies of instructions given to many boards of commissioners. This was under the Act of March 2nd, 1805, and what it was basically was submitted during the 15th Congress by William H. Crawford, who was serving then as the Treasury Secretary. So this report and letter provided specific guidelines for land ownership in these newly acquired territories, which was important because many of the existing claims were previously grants from the former Spanish and French colonial governments. And so the guidelines included things like fraud prevention, because there were instances of forged Spanish grants that were relatively common in the lands of the Louisiana Purchase. It also dealt with squatter rights, the land quantity limitations for those purchasing the land, usually capped at about 640 acres maximum, as well as standards of proof, so what titles were complete or incomplete. So there was a board of commissioners appointed to oversee this very messy legal affair, all based on the Act of March 2nd, 1805 as the primary legal framework. Beyond that, I went into Robert R. Livingstone's letter on the Louisiana Purchase. This was very foundational. It deals with a little bit of the basically how the Louisiana Purchase came to be so important and actually came into fruition. So Robert R. Livingstone was the U.S. Minister to France at the time and was writing several corresponding letters to Secretary of State James Madison, but he only initially wanted to purchase the port city of New Orleans as well as Florida, and he was very frustrated about the talks, how they weren't making as much headway as he wanted. Luckily for him, Napoleon was in dire straits because of the failing war in Haiti and also an impending war with the British. So he sold the entire Louisiana territory, or offered to really, for $15 million, which in today's terms is worth about $340 million. Of course, President Jefferson didn't authorize him to approve that sale, so in his letters to Madison, basically he was pressing for the U.S. to agree to the purchase before Napoleon changed his mind, and as we know, ultimately that did take place. Beyond that, I also looked at the Hunter Dunbar journals. So while Lewis and Clark went on their famous expedition in the northern areas of the Louisiana Purchase, the grand expedition of chemist George Hunter and scientist surveyor William Dunbar focused more on Arkansas and northern Louisiana in 1804 to 1805, and they wrote journals about the expedition, which gave a lot of deep accounts on the latitude and longitude of the areas, the first precise maps of the Wichita River. And on top of that, they wrote down a lot about the climate, the soil conditions, and also the weather and wind patterns of the area, in addition to water and soil quality in the area, which was helped, of course, by Hunter's expertise in chemistry. The explorers also gave accounts of their run-ins with local settlers, including Spanish and French fur trappers and others who had created communities in the area, along with run-ins with indigenous tribes. And they also documented the different kinds of animals and plants in the region, while Dunbar also explained that he believed the region's climate and soil would allow for economic growth for the U.S., mainly through the indigo and cotton plantations that, again, like sugarcane, dominated much of the South during the slave and pre-Civil War era.